This is the room we're working on, and in this video you will see me mess up big time, and it all comes and stems from the preparation. So this is what we're dealing with. I'm going to walk you through each step of preparation and show you eventually where I went wrong. So for the fireplace, it's going to be easier to just build out with plasterboard, because you can see that dips right in, it's not straight, the back's all over. Where you can see it looks like a funnel. Nothing straight there. So I'm going to pack that out with plasterboard, leave the edges proud, and then work into that. So that's the plan for this. Now the first thing was that fireplace had a load of different backgrounds. It was easy just to stick board onto it. One, it's faster, and two, you'll probably get it a lot flatter, you'll get it more plumb, and on the top you'll get it more level by just using plasterboard. So hit it in place, used obviously spirit level to make sure the cheeks were plumb, and then also we paralleled it, so I made sure I measured from end to end it was the same from the front to the back. What I'm doing here is packing the cheeks out with plasterboard adhesive. That makes sure that the front's got some grip and it's not going to pop out. Now the other thing, I wanted to do that first. I wanted the plasterboard to set and I wanted the adhesive to set. But now I'm PVAing all the walls. That's just standard. This wasn't the issue in this whole video. Now the thing is, we've got some boards to work on too. Always scrim tape your boards, even if you are going to fill it with bonding or hardwall, whichever material you decide to use. Always scrim tape your edges. You need to do that. In today's video we're using hardwall. Fortunately that's what the customer bought. Now this is one of the issues. Ideally for patching or any jobs like this where you're patching multiple different backgrounds, you really want to be using bonding. But the customer got a hardwall. It was easy just to go along with it, and you can use hardwall if you're careful, and I'll go into that into this video, how and when you should use hardwall. So for this background it was alright. We've got a kind of high density background here, a lot of suction, so for this hardwall is probably ideal. But what I'm doing is I've just applied the hardwall to the cheeks, and then I'm using the trowel as almost like a mini straight edge. I'm using the plasterboard as a guide. I'm running the bottom of my trowel up against that board because I know them boards are plumb, and what that's given me is giving me a definitive guide to work to make sure that these sides are going to be flush with the walls around it, and then I just use a derby to make sure the tops were also nice and flat. Now the issue here is I'm using hardwall. Ideally on plasterboard you want to be using bonding. Hear me out here, British gypsum bonding is what you want to be using on plasterboard. You can use hardwall, it will take up, it will stick, but ideally you want to use bonding. Again, in previous videos where we use a bonding shortage, I did use hardwall. It's all good. So you can use hardwall, but it's better to use bonding for the reasons followed in this video. I've just applied it, and now it's got a straight edge. Get it nice and flat. You always want to rule off everything you do with a straight edge. It just ensures your walls are going to always be flat. That is just one thing you want to get used to, is using a straight edge and making sure that you get used to them, because they do always come in. Once you get using a straight edge, you'll never stop using it. Now that was to build out that section because the plasterboard was loose. Now this whole wall, there used to be a bookcase here, and there's bits of high spots, is a high gloss paint. So what I thought, I'm just going to give it a tight skim coat of hardwall. So I've gone over the whole area and put a tight coat on, but treated it as if I'm just floating it. So put a tight coat of hardwall. I still want to rule it. I still want to make sure the wall's nice and flat. If I'm going through the effort of putting a hardwall on in the first place, and I always want to rule it and make sure that it's right. When it comes to skimming, at least I've got a flat surface to work onto. So applied it, ruled it horizontally and vertically, and that ensures it's dead flat. Now next point, to make sure your walls are going to be flat, this is a devil's float. It's basically a rendering float with some screws screwed into the tip, and then what it does is essentially flattens the hardwall, fills in any low spots, takes away any high spots whilst providing a key. Now the key is essential, so especially with hardwall you want to make sure you provide a key, because that way the plaster has got a nice grip, gives it something to bind into, and especially with hardwall it relies on suction. That's how hardwall as a product is so strong, because it pulls in extremely fast, which is what we're going to go into in this video, which is partially the issue. Hardwall pulls in extremely fast. Designed for high suction backgrounds, it pulls in rapid, which is why you need to provide a key for the plaster to bind to. Now the hardwall's dry, we can cut back the excess plasterboard. So you just cut along the edge. You know the edge is nice and straight where the hardwall was applied. You cut it back and you snap it, and what you're left with is a lovely opening. Do this when the hardwall is dry, don't do it before, it'll just be a pain. When it's dry, now that faff of building it out, we've got nice plumb fireplace to work to. Cut your beads, and now is a massive tip, I always use a staple gun. Even on the hardwall it pulls in beautifully, it's just rapid. They are brilliant inventions. In my eyes, I couldn't live without my staple gun now. It's a brilliant bit of kit, especially when you're working onto plasterboard. It's just great. But for existing corners, I've started using this Grip Bond Pro. It's a Bondit product and it's wicked. It sticks almost instantly. The only problem is cleaning up the excess glue. I've just got a little scraper at the moment. You know, that's the only downfall. But for existing corners, instead of trying to knock nails into it, that is a great product to use. So that is the room prepped. That's all of the hardwall, all the beads on, PVA'd, ready for skimming. Okay, so that was the prep that was involved with the job. That was the job at hand. So as you see, at the time, everything went quite well. What happened when I went home, I ended up getting really sick again. I was puking up, and then I was just really ill, which meant that I couldn't go to the job the next day. And then it was a Friday that I missed, and then it was a whole weekend. So essentially we had 3 days of drying time for the hardwall. So then this is what happened when we came back on the Monday, and here's how it went. Let's do it. So we're back at the job. The weekend's done. So the problem is with that, we've used hardwall to float up. Now the problem is with hardwall as a product that has a backing plaster, it's meant to be used ideally on the same day. Now, obviously I spent a lot of the day prepping, putting all the beads up, getting everything floated, getting the chimney press sorted. So the problem is, this is dried significantly now. It's dried, and you can tell by the colour that it's really taken up. Now if we just used standard PVA on that, you'd need a lot of coats to get it right. So I'm going to show you something now, and what I use is, so the only time I use SBR in plastering is when I'm going to be plastering onto hardwall that is dried up. Like I said, most of the time I like to plaster directly onto hardwall on the same day, but if it has dried up where it's gone to the colour where it has really pale, if you just use PVA you'd have to use about 3 coats, where if you just mix SBR 50-50 with water and apply that directly to the hardwall, then it's going to be a lot better to control the suction. It's going to be a lot better to plaster on. Now all the rest of the walls are PVA, I'm just going to be SBR where the hardwall is. So I'm going to whip that on, and then I'm going to start the ceilings and then follow through on the walls and start plastering. So we're actually going to start getting some plaster in here now and start making it look like something. So yeah, a bit of a tip there. Gonna use hardwall, do it on the same day ideally, but if not, use SBR because it really will kill the suction. Before you do SBR it, you want to give the walls a quick scrape back. So grab the edge of your trowel. All we're doing is pulling off any high spots left when scratching. You SBR directly on top of it now. So, use the first mix, plaster's gone, I've got to quickly mix some more because I haven't got the bottoms. But the hard wall is pulling in very fast, very fast. So even with the application of SBR, it wasn't enough to hold it back. So, I'm gonna have to drop back, flatten the ceiling, flatten the walls. I'm gonna have to get straight on the walls with the second coat, finish this, and then reverse, kind of work backwards on myself. So I'm gonna have to do the walls first, finishing, and then work to the ceilings, because the one thing now is got to make sure that hard wall doesn't fully set. I've got to be able to get my second coat on and finish it, but it is pulling in rapid, so I've got to be fast. So I'm whacking the second coat on here as fast as I can. Like I said, the plaster is drying, so we've just got to really fire it on. And when plastering does go wrong, keep you cool. You've got to speed up though. So what I'm doing is get it on flat as I can. Then I'm going to second coat this. And then I'm going to quickly jump on the ceiling and then immediately flatten the walls again. But when the plaster does turn, this is why plastering can be the most stressful trade in the world, because you can't stop and have a brew, you just got to carry on. Then the problem is, because you've been playing with a hard wall, the ceiling's set, so you're chasing your tail. And it's bloody tough. So everything's got two coats on now. What I'm doing is going straight over the walls. I'm not even cleaning the buckets out yet. I just want to make sure that I'm on top. But what I'm doing is I'm having a little bit of plaster on my trowel and I'm flattening. And what this does, it's kind of adds a third layer, kind of. We're only putting a tiny bit on. Where there are any dry spots in the hard wall, it'll pull in that plaster and take what it needs. But not only that, it just gives it an extra bit of moisture. So if it is pulling in, at least it's going to hold it back. So again, I'm just flattening. Bit of a dry spot there. So the tops are dry. I'm going to have to quickly jump up in a second and soak them up. So I'm going to quickly clean the buckets now, jump up, do the ceilings, and then do the walls at the same time. But the point here, we just can't stop, we've got to really stay on it. The plaster's keeping its own. We can't slow down, but we've kind of got on top of it. So I'm doing the ceiling at the same time as the walls. And what you've realised, I'm just giving the walls that have got suction all the right attention at the moment. What's going to happen is I'm going to have these walls finished before the ceiling and before the wall that hasn't got the hard wall on it. So what you've got to do is just bounce between the two and give the troubled area more room and more time in between doing the areas that are okay. Got the plaster on, two coated, and it's been flattened once, so the pressure's off a little bit. We're not fully out of the woods. I'm going to jump on the walls again, but basically the hardest part is just getting the plaster on and getting it flattened, especially when it's pulling in. So if you do have the plaster turn, just try and keep it cool. I know it's so stressful, and it is probably the most stressful thing that plaster go through is when the plaster's turning, you're really struggling to keep on top of it. But remember, just lots of moisture, lots of water, keep lubing it up, keep watering it up, and just make sure you speed up. Don't stress yourself out to the point where you're going to start losing your head. You start going backwards, you start to really lose control. Just try and keep your composure. What I do is turn the radio off, no distractions, and just make sure you're on it. And now, again, but don't lose track. Now these are still pulling in, so I've got to jump straight on them now, flatten them. But again, like I said, it's been two coated, they've been flattened once. and they're kind of under control. I'm covered in plaster because I was rushing. I need a drink, but we're going to crack on and get the walls on. But that is the biggest thing, just make sure you keep your cool. So we finally got there. The ceiling, the walls are done, the chimney, and it's all come up well. So yeah, it was a slog, but that shows that anyone can get into trouble with plastering. The plaster can turn at any point. And it's an example that even me, I mean, it's not happened in a while, but it does happen. The plaster does turn, and when it does, it's a horrible feeling. So let's go into why it happened and how to avoid it. Okay, so I thought we'd just quickly walk through why that happened in the first place. And to be honest, the reason it turned was totally my fault. For any plasterer, you've got to be on top of your preparation. I used the wrong products for the background. I could use hardwall, but one, I should have plastered it on the same day, if not latest the day after. You shouldn't really leave hardwall for 2-3 days so it can completely set. Granted, I did get food poisoning, so I can't fully blame that on the plaster, but still. You know, it's all about the preparation, making sure you're preventing the suction. If you are patching in, it's best to be using bonding, preferably, again, plastering on the same day. Same with hardwall. If you plaster it on the same day, it's still got moisture in the plaster, so when you are putting your top coat on, it's not going to rip all that moisture from your top coat because there's still moisture in the product. Suction's controlled, and you're using the right materials, then there's no reason you should really hit any problems. But when you do, and every plaster is going to hit problems with suction, make sure you keep under control, you keep yourself composed, and you don't lose your head, even though it's easily said than done. It's easy to get really in a vicious circle, and even then I started to lose it a little bit. But you know, you've got to keep on top of it, and it does come with experience, that knowing how to control it. But lots of water and a few more coats than what you would do with plaster. Don't be scared to put a bit more plaster on, again, just to make sure that suction's controlled. And yeah, just make sure that you keep working it and don't give up, because you will get it. It just takes a slog, and you've got to act a bit faster. I hope you enjoyed this video. Remember that the main key here is preparation. If your preparation is right in plastering, then you shouldn't reach any problems, which is why you shouldn't skip corners at the preparation stage. It is so crucial to make sure you get right. Preparation here is the big lesson. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button, please subscribe, and yeah, keep watching our videos, hopefully where I won't mess up. Thanks a lot for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. If you want to see the proper way to use hardwall plaster, check this video where I plaster a brick wall from scratch using nothing but plaster and finished plaster. All of it's using hardwall, no plasterboard, nothing. Check it out.